Welcome to my January new releases video. There are 23 books that I want to talk about today, and this isn't even all of them, so I've decided to split this new release video into two parts. This first part is my most anticipated releases, and then the second part is going to be a special thriller video in which I talk about all the thrillers that are coming out in January, because I have noticed that January 2019 has a lot of adult thrillers and mysteries coming out, and I wanted to talk about them because some of them sound really good, but I also didn't want to bog down this video. So here are my 23 most anticipated new releases for January 2019. Starting off on the 1st of January, we have a couple of books. The first one is True Places by Sonja Young. This one is an adult contemporary about a woman who basically has the perfect life. One day she comes across a girl who wanders out of the woods, and this girl is starving and ill and exhausted. And she takes her in. Basically, the girl just changes this woman's life. She presumably introduces her to a whole bunch of things that she wouldn't normally consider or be introduced to, and it introduces a whole new dynamic to the family. Then there's The Similars by Rebecca Hanover. This is a YA sci-fi book. The main character lost her best friend Oliver the previous summer, and she goes to a boarding school, and one day these 6 clones join the boarding school, and one of them looks like her dead best friend. The main character sort of infiltrates their clique and gets to know them better, and I assume stuff goes down. This one doesn't seem to be very popular on BookTube or in the book community, but I think it does sound really good. We're moving on to the books that are coming out on the 8th of January, and there are a lot of them, so bear with me. This is probably the most popular release day of the year. The first one is an adult thriller called An Anonymous Girl by Greer Hendricks. This is the woman who wrote The Wife Between Us, which I haven't read, but I am looking forward to this one. The reason I'm looking forward to it is it's about a girl who signs up for a psychology study, and the professor or doctor who is studying her becomes manipulative and possessive. Or perhaps the main character is paranoid, and to be honest, it could be either hit or miss for me. It could go really poorly and the manipulation side of things could get to me too much, or it could go really well because maybe the author does a fantastic job. I don't know. I haven't actually read The Wife Between Us, like I said, but I would like to read it maybe before reading this one. Then there is Two Can Keep a Secret by Karen M. McManus. This is the author who wrote One of Us is Lying, which has been on the New York Times best-selling list for ages. It was like a massive hit a couple of years ago. Two Can Keep a Secret is another YA mystery. The main character moves in with her grandmother in a town where teenagers keep going missing. The main character's aunt went missing years and years ago when she was a teen, and then a few months ago another girl went missing. So the main character needs to find out what secrets this town is hiding. I do think it sounds really good, and I do have an advanced reader's copy, so hopefully by the time the book comes out I will have read it and I will be able to review it. I'm really interested in the whole small town American mystery thing, so I'm looking forward to this one. Slayer by Kiersten White. To be honest, I'm not a massive Buffy fan, but this one kind of intrigues me. This isn't a Buffy retelling or anything, but it's about a girl who goes to the Slayer Academy to learn to be a Slayer. The only thing is she doesn't want to be a Slayer, she wants to be a healer. However, she becomes the next chosen one, and not only that, but she becomes or what is said to be the last Slayer ever. I'm not a massive fan of Kiersten White's writing either, but I'm still intrigued because this could go really well. And vampires seem to be making a comeback in YA, which is quite cool. The Au Pair by Emma Rous. This is an adult thriller about a woman who is a twin. The twins' mother killed herself on the day that the twins were born, and their au pair just up and left. This is all years and years ago, but in present day, the twins' father dies, and so they go back to the town and they come across an old family photo. The only thing is the family is holding 1 baby instead of 2. The Kingdom of Copper by S.A. Chokraborty. This is the sequel to The City of Brass, which I haven't read yet, but I will be reading in January, so I won't say too much about this one. It's a YA fantasy, and I think it sounds really good. White Stag by Cara Barbieri. This YA fantasy is about the Goblin King. The Goblin King dies, and the kingdom has to go and find another king. The main character gets sucked into this fantasy world and presumably has to fight off goblins. The Suspect by Fiona Barton. This one comes out on the 10th of January in the UK, but it's close enough to the 8th. This is another adult thriller, and this is one that I've already read and really enjoyed. It's set in the same universe as her other 2 books, The Widow and The Child. It follows the same reporter called Kate. This time she's investigating the disappearance of 2 girls who go missing during their gap year in Thailand. The only thing is her son is also currently travelling in Thailand, and he has been for 2 years, and he's not really speaking to his parents, so it kind of hits really close to home for her. The next one is one that everyone is talking about, and that is The Girl King by Mimi Yu. I have heard mixed things about it since the review copies started going out, but I'm still really excited for it. It's a fantasy novel. The main character is set to become the first female ruler of the empire or kingdom, except her father then names his nephew the heir, so the main character's cousin. Stuff kicks off from there. The main character obviously isn't happy, and she gets separated from her sister. So she goes and does one thing. Her sister then starts to develop magical powers, or her powers awaken, and I think it sounds really, really good. It seems as though a lot is going on, but I'm here for that. I think it does sound great. Undying by Amy Kaufman and Megan Spooner. This is another sequel. It's the sequel to Unearthed, which is Tomb Raider but in space. I really enjoyed it, highly recommend it, and I can't wait to read Undying and see how the duology wraps up. Freefall by Jessica Barry. This is another adult thriller. The main character survives a plane crash and she has to try to evade a stalker, and her mother has to try to find her daughter. Apparently this one looks into the relationship between mother and child, but in a thriller setting. I have a review copy of this one as well, so I'm really looking forward to reading that soon and seeing how it is. And then the next two are sequels to books that I haven't read. The first one is The Winter of the Witch by Catherine Arton, the sequel to The Bear and the Nightingale. Haven't read it, it's a fantasy book. And then there's The Wicked King by Holly Black, which is the sequel to The Cruel Prince, which came out earlier this year and everyone is obsessed with, except me. It seems I have no intention of reading it because I don't think it sounds like my kind of thing. It's about fairies and I'm kind of over the whole fairy thing. Okay, and now we're only halfway through the month and we're on to the books that are coming out on the 15th of January. The first one is The Gilded Wolves. This is set in Paris in 1889. The main character is a treasure hunter and he is asked to get together a band of people to try to find this ancient artifact. It sounds a lot like Six of Crows except in a Paris setting, and so I'm really looking forward to this, even though Paris and France isn't usually my go-to for books and settings. The Dreamers by Karen Thompson Walker. This one sounds really, really good. It sounds a bit like Nod by Adrian Barnes, which I DNF'd a while back. It's set in a small college town and people start to fall asleep, except they don't just fall asleep, they also can't be woken up. The whole town is quarantined, the National Guard are called, and it's been compared to Station 11, so I think this one sounds fantastic. I'm definitely going to be buying this one as soon as it comes out. The Perfect Liar by Thomas Greene. This is another adult thriller. I told you there were a lot. This is about a widow who remarries and she moves away with her new husband and her child to a small town. All of a sudden, these notes start appearing on her door. One says, "I know who you are," and the other says, "Did you get away with it?" So I think it sounds mysterious and I hope it's going to be good. There are only actually two books that are coming out on the 22nd of January that caught my eye. The first one is Circle of Shadows by Evelyn Skye. I have a review copy of this one as well, so let me know if you want me to review it. This is a fantasy book about two characters who are apparently fierce warriors. They're kind of bonded and they graduate from the academy and then come across mysterious soldiers which seem to be a threat to the kingdom, so they have to protect their kingdom. Then there's one that I hadn't heard of until I started researching for this video, and I'm so glad that I came across it because it does sound really good, and that is Ship of Smoke and Steel by Django Wexler, who normally writes adult fantasy, but he's kind of going into YA, I guess. This is about a character who has powers and she goes around collecting debts. She's able to access something that is called the Well of Combat, which I assume gives her powers. People find out about this and then they threaten her sister's life to make the main character go and steal a ghost ship. Hopefully this one is action-packed. I'm really looking forward to reading it and recapping it for Recaptains. And finally, on the last week of the month, the 29th of January, there are a few books I'm looking forward to. The first one is one that I haven't stopped talking about, and that is King of Scars by Leigh Bardugo. This is Nikolai's story. It's the first in a duology. I cannot wait to read it. I think it's going to be fantastic. It's about Nikolai as he kind of recovers from the trauma that happened to him during the war and also tries to protect his kingdom. Leigh Bardugo is going to do amazing things with his character. He's one of my favourites, and I think it's going to be really good. A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Brigid Kemmerer. I'm quite looking forward to this one. It's not top of my radar, but it does sound quite good. It's a Beauty and the Beast retelling, which normally I'm quite bored with, but this one sounds quite good. It's about, obviously, Beauty and the Beast. The spoiled rich guy has to relive the same autumn over and over again. The main character somehow travels to this fantasy land, comes across him, and then I guess Beauty and the Beast stuff goes down from there. The Love and Lies of Rukhsana Ali by Sabina Khan. This one is a YA contemporary, which don't normally come out in January in my experience, but okay. This is about a gay or queer Muslim teen whose very conservative Muslim parents catch her with her girlfriend and they kick off. They send her off to Bangladesh and she has to kind of deal with all of that's going on, a complete culture shock. And then she finds her grandmother's diary, which apparently includes some interesting things. And finally for this list we have The Dead Queen's Club by Hannah Capin. This is a YA contemporary which is actually based on Henry VIII and his 6 wives. This popular guy at school is called Henry and he has 6 girlfriends, and the main character is called Cleves, and she is the only one who has come away from this relationship completely unscathed. And apparently there are a couple of tragedies that happen, and I think it just sounds really interesting. I haven't really read anything quite like this that's like a retelling of a real life event, or a Tudor event rather. So I'm probably going to pick this one up as soon as it comes out because I'm expecting it to be a really fast read. And that's it. Those are the 23 books that I'm most anticipating for January 2019. Let me know which ones you're looking forward to in the comments below. If anyone would like to buddy read King of Scars with me, then my friend Lacey and I are doing that. So you could get in on this read along that we've got going on. Or if you want to buddy read any others with me, I would also be up for that because I want to do some more buddy reads in 2019. Thanks for watching everyone, and I'll speak to you in my next video. Bye!